After being allegedly molested several times, Mr. Amechi left the room forgetting to close the door. And she looked and realized that the door was open and the key was also on the door hole. So she gradually sneaked up to the door and tiptoed towards the exit. She could see Mr. Amechi from the corner of her eyes, but she quietly went towards the fence and made a jump over to the other side. She made it through, but she got a cut on the leg. This is the story that surfaced after the bigger story made the news. Now, this will tell you how many women die in silence after having an ordeal. They find it very, very hard to say what actually happened until light is drawn towards things like that. If you have a daughter, or you have a sister, or you have someone very close to you who's a young lady, they might need to hear the story. We have to be very contented with what we have, because these two ladies who went through this problem will serve as a lesson for all of us. We don't have to repeat the same mistake they made. Rather, let us learn from the mistake they made. Now, this is still inconclusive as it's still being investigated by the Nigerian police. Andrew Amechi was in UK. He is a very, very successful engineer who owned his own business. He actually supplied about 85% of government-owned houses in Buckinghamshire, UK. So he had his own staff, he was very successful, he did very well. But one day he ran into a problem. According to his friend, who has been with him together for 10 years in the UK, he said that this man has a mental issue, which could be the reason why one day he actually slapped a lady, which cost him 2 years in UK jail. On his release, he lost his government contract and he couldn't land on any other contract. His business gradually closed and he started having depression. So he couldn't even travel to any other European country, not even the United States. And then at this point, he made the decision to leave the country. He made his way back to Nigeria where he came from, and he went to Obo Hills, Aba. There he started his own new company called the Black Sheep. It is not clear why he chose that name, but he did. While in Aba, he met this pretty girl named Mrs. Celine Ndode on social network. It was alleged that they started talking, and at some point he started luring this girl, showing her off his riches and his wealth, luring her to come to him. He also convinced Celine to bring her friend named Afibwa. Afibwa is a girl from Ghana. She's a Ghanaian and also a friend to Celine. So he was able to convince Celine to come with Afibwa. It was alleged that he gave them 50,000 naira for their transport and also promised to give them 1 million naira. On February 24th, 2024, they both took a cab and headed from Port Harcourt to Aba, heading to his house. Immediately they got there, it was alleged that they were held hostage by Mr. Amechi. But then, one of the girls had her camera still with her, so she was able to take a picture showing her distress and sent to the family, who immediately tried to contact her. Every try was proved abortive because at some point they couldn't reach her. So immediately they decided to contact the police first. Maybe Mr. Amechi found out and took her phone. The police was able to trace Mr. Amechi's house in Obo Hill, and when they got there, they found some personal belongings that could be connected to those ladies. But then the ladies were not in sight. Mr. Amechi was quickly arrested and was taken to police detention. After a few investigations, it was alleged that Mr. Amechi was actually released. But then, the family of Afewa back in Ghana sensed a foul play. So they contacted the Ghanaian embassy in Nigeria, who reactivated the case. He was rearrested and was planned to be taken to Abuja. On that fateful day, while they were taking him to Abuja for more investigation, it was alleged that he tried to escape at some point, and then he was shot dead. A human rights activist took it upon himself to investigate more on what was happening in this case. He actually drove all the way to Obo Hills in order to ask questions and get some answers from people who know this man and living around the vicinity. His attention was quickly drawn to a lifeless body that was wrapped around with a cotton. And this body already lost some of its parts, like the limbs, and they realized that the cotton was the same type of cotton that Mr. Amechi has. This was discovered when the police tried to do more investigations. Now, although we don't really know what actually happened, but this is still being investigated. Now, for sure, this is still being investigated. So, we are still trying to find out what really happened. But one thing is for sure, it's very important for us to understand that reality cannot be edited. But everything you see on social network could be edited. So, do you want to believe in what you see that is being edited on social network? Or do you want to believe in the reality? It's up to you to know who you choose as a friend or who you hang out with. But then, it is your choice. Also remember that there is more to it that meets the eye. Let us be wise and forget about things we see on social network. But then, remember, you are always the judge, and whatever you make out of this is up to you. Peace.